Like so many of us in the room today, our racing careers were shaped by our parents, in particular our fathers. In the case of Bobby Seymour, son of the great Boston Louis Seymour, he had a legendary career to live up to, and man has he ever. With Boston as his mentor, not only did Bobby learn how to wrench intricate race cars, but he also learned what it meant to be a mentor himself, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But for Bobby and his siblings, racing began at a small, homemade oval hewn out of land at near a runway at the Marlborough, Massachusetts airport. Because there were no similar race facilities nearby, Louis and a handful of friends got together to build their own quarter midget track. It was truly a family experience. In fact, even Mother Ellie worked as the flag person at that little track. Louis went so far as to travel to Indiana to buy a truckload of quarter midgets to get the local kids involved, a trip to the Midwest that he would get to know quite well over time. The year was 1960, and the Seymour kids that had spent open window summer nights hearing the roar of race cars from the next town over at Westboro Speedway could finally make some noise of their own. For almost an entire decade, they racked up a whole lot of quarter midget wins and a whole lot of fun. It was during that time that Boston Louis ventured down to Reading, Pennsylvania to watch some sprint cars on dirt, and that's when the real bug had bitten, and the true Seymour legacy was born. You know, they called Louis the man that towed 1,000,000 miles, and the odometer started turning in 1965 when they started their Silver Crown and eventual sprint car campaigns. You see, Louis and his family were in the oil business, and things got slow in the warmer months, and a perfect opportunity to go racing when it did get slow, and they did it big time. Bobby was at the perfect age to learn both at the shop and at the track. They packed the family and crew into the tow vehicle and traveled to the Midwest week after week. At one point, they made 256 consecutive starts. With Bobby and brother Mike as mechanics, the wins started to pile up in sprint cars and Silver Crown cars. Their longtime driver, Billy Casella, manhandled those machines at some of the most historic dirt and asphalt tracks in the Midwest, sometimes dirt one night and asphalt the next, or vice versa. All the while, Bobby turning the wrenches and learning a ton from some of the best in the business. With the sprint car alone, they won 20 USAC national races, including 3 prestigious Tony Holman Classic wins as seen on ABC's Wide World of Sports. George Snyder in 71, Bruce Walkup in 72, and Eddie Levitt in 1980. Their Silver Crown cars had some of the best of the nation's drivers behind the wheel. Bentley Warren, Dave Blaney, Doug Wolfgang, Sheldon Kinzer, and Ken Schrader, who won 7 Silver Crown races for them and drove to their biggest Silver Crown win at the mega competitive Copper Classic at Phoenix in 1990. At one point, they even had an Indy car. Only a last-minute on-track mechanical issue kept them from the 1981 Indy 500. There was a shift in focus during the early 80s. Louis' friend and West Coast midget standout Sleepy Tripp convinced him that he should get the boys into midget racing. Louis bought a fast one from him, and soon there was another, and the Seymour boys were back behind the wheel, this time in full-power midgets. Racing a little closer to home, the boys got at it, and Boston was there watching with a stopwatch in each hand. It didn't take long for them to win either. Between 1982 and 2002, Bobby had 23 NEMA wins and the 1987 NEMA Championship, as well as 4 ARDC wins. His biggest midget win came at the Hoosier Autumn Classic in Plymouth, Indiana, where he dominated against some of the toughest competition in midget racing. His most memorable win, he will tell you, was in 1999 when he won the Boston Louis Memorial Classic, a race that he and his family had put together to honor their father who had passed away in 1996. That race is still run today as NEMA's most prestigious annual event. When he hung up the helmet, ownership was next. And at that point, another Seymour was getting involved. Bobby's son, Matt, had watched a lot and learned a lot, and it was his turn at the wrenches. Those stout midgets attracted some of the big names to them. including Bobby Santos, Lou Ciccone, Anthony Nocella, Mark Bonomo, Matt Swanson, Randy Cabral, Jeff Abold, and the young sensation Jake Trainer. And oh yeah, that guy named Schrader, he still straps into a Seymour midget once a year, at least once a year. As a car owner, Bobby has 50 wins, including 10 Boston Louis Memorial races and 3 championships. Bobby was the president of NEMA in 1994, organized and promoted the Racers Expo from 1997 to 2010, which was a great off-season event that brought together both competitors and fans. And since 1992, he's been the owner of the nationally known Seymour Performance Products, located at the same garages as all those winning race cars. But Bobby will tell you that his biggest career accomplishment is being a mentor. One of Bobby's big influences was Lee Osborne of Jamestown, Indiana. Ozzie built some of the sprint cars for the Seymour family. He was a master mechanic and fabricator. In fact, he taught Bobby how to weld and to fabricate at a young age, and how to set up a race car and make it go fast. Like Ozzie and Boston Louis were to him, Bobby takes the young guns under his wing and doesn't hold back any secrets. He helps them learn by doing and live the experience. This is no more evidence than by his young son, Matt Seymour, who today is sought by many for advice on building and setting up race cars here in the Northeast and in the Midwest, where the Seymours made so much history. Matt is a chip off the old block, if you will. With that, Matt learned under the watchful eye of Father Bobby, the Seymours have won 2 major events just in 2023, and what Bobby calls their biggest: an A-main win at the prestigious Chili Bowl with Hank Davis, and a win at the most famous sprint car race of the year, the Little 500 at Anderson, Indiana, with the sensation Jake Trainer. A couple of the proud sponsors of those cars, like Bentley Warren from Bentley Saloon and Barry Kittredge at K-Tron, helped those guys support the midget and sprint car effort, which is still going strong. In fact, they got a big race coming up in just a couple of weeks in Las Vegas. Bobby may have traveled 1 million miles with his family to go racing, but there are 1 million smiles, accomplishments, and accolades for this guy who is now joining his father as a member of the New England Auto Racing Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Bobby Seymour.
Well, thank you. First of all, Pete, you are my main man. We saved the best for last, and that wasn't me. It's Pete Falcone. He does such a great job, and he's really made my job easy here right now. I have 2 new heroes, Dale Shaw, and Radical Rick Martin. You guys were up here for under 6 minutes. I have my stopwatch with me right here, and I am going to beat your ass here. I will be under 6 minutes, I guarantee you. I'm a racer, and I like to win, and I will do that quickly. But first, I just got to say thank you to Pete. Thank you to everybody involved that thought enough of me to be here. So many people deserve to be here before me, but I guess it's taken 60 years for me to get where I am, but I haven't been able to do it without major people behind me all the time. From the quarter midget days with my dad, building a track, my mom out there flagging. It was just a great time in my life. We got into the 70s, the 80s, all of those years. There were so many good people behind us that I didn't really have to do much. I have one guy with me today, Al Hovajimian, and Al was, him and his brother Ed ran precision balancing and engineering in Bedford, Mass. And while we competed 256 races in a row, they were the guys that built the motors for us. And I'll tell you, we would be at their place 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then jump in the truck after we got the motors in the cars and head out to Terre Haute, Indiana, Eldora Speedway in Ohio, Knoxville Nationals. Without those guys, we would have never made it. So Al, thank you for all you did, and Ed's watching over us tonight. I really think that the rest of it, Pete has really told the story a lot better than I can. But very thankful for everybody here, and we're going to keep racing, keep this thing going. I got my son here today, Matt and Jake Trainer, my sponsor, Skip Holgren, another mechanic, Don DeLapp, and everybody is just been behind us. We have the same guys year after year. Some of them 40 and 50 years, they've still been behind us. So it's been a great ride, and I really think that the future is still bright with, like Dale, I have 2 kids that keep me young, and one's a better mechanic than I ever was, and one's a better driver than I ever was. So the future is bright for those guys, and I want you to stay tuned because they will keep the whole deal going. So thank you to everybody, and I just want to say one more time, the whole near board to pick me has been, I know there's hundreds, and was really pretty special to be here. So thank you very much.